Perfect. We're going to go to our final guest, Mr. Michael Hancock from Charlottesville, Virginia. Michael, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Have you opened a bottle of wine yet? I know it's 5 o'clock there.
No, I'm at the office by myself.
Oh, okay. Well, if you saw my office, I have stashes of everything in case there's always a need. Maybe we should send you a bottle.
I won't decline it.
So Michael, great to be with you. Michael's fun to be with. He's all about wine. He's the reason why, for some of you who've seen our workbook, Purple Teeth Marketing, that originated from Michael because he loves to incorporate wine in as many events as possible. And usually we have him with a picture of purple teeth on there. So, but Michael, I want to talk about your two particular niches. One that you somewhat inherited, and I think that's important there again to pay attention, and then one that you've been working for several years. So let's talk about what happened when you bought the practice out in Palm Springs, and what happened with the niche there.
Sure. Over the years I've accumulated 4 or 5 LGBTQ clients, and it wasn't a big part of the practice or anything like that, but enjoyed working with them. They had special needs back when you couldn't have legal marriage and all that. And then when I bought this practice in California, it turned out that probably half of the practice was LGBTQ clients. So then I quickly said, well, darn, this is actually a niche I need to actually go after because it's ready made for me. And so, I had to give it some thought. I had to get a feel for the area, what they were like and all that. And what I found is most of them were retired. And then a lot of them did a lot of volunteering. So I sort of put 2 and 2 together. So I joined several nonprofit groups in the area. We started participating in a food bank, things like that, just to start getting our name out there. We started holding events, things like that. And I bought the practice in 2017. So the first year or two was just getting to know the clients, learning what they're all about. And then really about a year and a half ago is where I said, all right, we're going to join some nonprofit groups and things like that. And then we started trying to make the inroads. And then we started doing happy hours and things like that. And then lo and behold, we had one of the clients become an advocate for us. Now, it hasn't turned into too many clients yet, but they are advocating for us, which is really, really important. They feel like we understand them. We have made personal friendships with them and things like that. And that's at the end of the day is what people have to know that you care about them, and that you care about what they care about. And it just took me a couple of years to sort of feel them out, figure out what was important to them, and sort of dived into that after that.
So yeah, I like what you're saying, Michael. I mean, you there again. It's you uncovered something. You pivoted. You did some research. You started seeing what some of those advocates were involved with. You started getting involved with the nonprofits. I know you tied some of the social things you did with them around the nonprofit activities and so forth. So I mean, you really started understanding the audience and then acted upon that. So anything that working that LGBTQ market, is there anything kind of like Drew talked about the analysis of working with physicians and kind of the different segments there? So what advice would you have to someone if they're going after that market, I guess?
Well, they want to know that you understand their uniqueness. They're very different from they've let's face it, the LGBT community in many ways has been pushed down, held back, and all that, and they want to feel like you understand where they're coming from. That they still struggle with a lot of that even today. They want to know that you understand that. They have family relationships that are not in good shape. So you really have to help them through estate planning and things like that, and you have to be willing to bring up uncomfortable subjects which actually turn out to be comfortable for them, but they're actually more uncomfortable for you, as you don't normally see those kinds of family dynamics and all that, or at least less so. So you got to show them that you care about them, that you want to get to know them and things like that. They're really like anybody else, but it's just a little bit different, I guess. best way to describe it.
Okay. So because of the uniqueness, make sure you take the time to understand their uniqueness and some of the pains and challenges they've gone through. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's talk about a niche that started several years ago, and that's the University of Virginia. And for those of you who don't know, the UVA is right there in Charlottesville. It's a big college town. So talk a little bit about your affiliation and affection towards UVA and how that's turned into a lot of clients for Oakhart.
Sure. Well, in my first year of business, we had just moved here in January of '92, and I was appointed in August of '92. Didn't know a soul. My wife was a neonatal intensive care nurse at the University Hospital, and I was getting the right number of leads and all that, and trying to figure out how to cold call and all that. And then people started asking my wife what I did, and she said, "Well, he's a financial advisor." And I'm like, "Oh, I need to talk to him." So in my first year, I actually picked up a lot of clients who were nurses for the most part. My very first year is really where a lot of my business came from. And my wife just took my cards to work, and she had them at the ready, and then she would tell them what I did. He's a financial advisor. He helps people make good decisions with their money. And then about 3 years after that, an advisor here in Charlottesville left the company, and I was assigned about 40 of her clients. And the clients that were assigned were primarily University of Virginia, Curry School of Education faculty professors who even further down in the narrowing a niche all wrote textbooks, just to give you an idea. And so it was, I think, 4 of them, something like that. It wasn't too many. It was 4 or 5, but it wasn't too many. And none of them were retired or anything like that. And they're still all clients today. But it's now grown from 4 or 5 faculty, Curry School of Education, to now we have, I think, upwards of 28 faculty professionals as clients. We've branched beyond the Curry School of Education, but out of that, we still have like 20, I think, are still Curry School of Education professors. Many are now retired. Out of that also came a professor who was referred to me, I think, in 2008 now, or 2006, and he became an advocate for us as well. So no, I keep talking about an advocate for me. You want to find clients who are advocates. They don't just mind what you're saying. They want to see you succeed. And he actually ended up referring me to the American Psychological Association, which has many different divisions. And I actually managed the money for 5 different divisions of the American Psychological Association, of which it's over $10 million in assets under management just with these 5 divisions. But anyway, so the University of Virginia, I think out of our roughly 600 clients, we've got, I think 90 of them are University of Virginia employees, whether pharmacists, physicians, faculty, staff, things like that. And part of the equation of working with these people is you have to know them, know what's important to them, know the benefits at work. As I was telling somebody earlier, the University of Virginia has 4 different benefit packages: one for faculty, one for physicians, one for staff, one for medical professionals. When I say medical professionals, I'm talking about the medical technicians, the nurses, and things like that, but not the doctors. So, and you got to know your way around all that. So when you're sitting in a P&M with somebody, you can speak their language. In fact, because you know it so well, you start telling them stuff they didn't even know they had available to them. I can't tell you how many clients didn't know they had a 457 plan available to them, or knew they had another retirement plan through the University Physicians Group, which is separate from the university. So there's actually 5 benefit plans, just so you know. It's another retirement plan. And then on top of that, they have a pension plan they don't even know that they have. Because every year they get this guide, in July of each year, they get this book, this compensation package. They don't even know how to read it. So what you have to do is really educate yourself about all the benefits. We know the director of benefits at the University of Virginia. We can call him directly. I'm now in the University of Virginia Financial Advisors Forum, and I just got my first referral from the guy who runs it I think 5 months ago. So that's the University of Virginia it just keeps on paying off.
That's awesome, Michael. And there again, just listening to him, you can hear he understands their benefits. Yeah. Thought there was 4, he remembers there's 5. You probably keep going and reciting things that's just probably unusual for each plan. It might be usual for us, but unusual because they just don't know. And Michael, you've done some things too for exposure. I remember this past year during college basketball season, I think you guys got a pretty good basketball team. I've heard that.
Apparently least
you guys did some sponsorships there to make sure people knew you were part of UVA. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that we did is we became a sponsor of the basketball team. It was actually a year they won the championship, and we're trying to decide whether we're going to do it again this year. But essentially, we got our name up on the scoreboard at every single game multiple times that, hey, we're a sponsor of the team and all that. And what was unique about it is one of the interns, his father actually runs the scoreboard. So we're supposed to have a limited number of exposure opportunities. He said, the hell with that. He's putting us up all the time up there, which is really good. Granted, I think it was $20,000 I think we spent, but it was lots of great exposure. My clients would tell us they saw it. We actually also got tickets to, I think, 4 games. And so what do you think we did? We invited university faculty to the game, and then they brought guests to the game. So we're actually able to dovetail upon that to even build further relationships with clients and people they thought would be interested in working with us. So worked well.
Well, it's just a great example of you know where they're located. You know it's a great basketball program. You're getting tremendous exposure to the area that you're trying to get more exposure and get more clients, right? Your dollars followed your niche market, which there again,
yep.
When we think about niche marketing and how purposeful and how more focused and myopic it is, that's a great example of having your dollars follow that.
Yeah. And they're fun. I'm saying, as Trevor said, I don't like working with engineers. They want to like double, triple, quadruple check everything you do. I want to work with people who trust me, who, hey, you know what you're doing, go do what you do so I can go do what I do. And that's really important to me.
Right. Any advice you'd give to anybody out there looking to do niche marketing based on your experience and success?
Yeah, I mean, first I'd go through your client base and figure out what some of the niches that you enjoy working in, that you have. Everybody has it. Sometimes you're just staring at you just don't know it. So you got to go through and say, where do 10 of my clients work, or 5, or whatever the number is, and then educate yourself as much as you can about that niche. Who are they? Are they primarily women? Are they primarily men? Are they engineers? Are they doctors? Whatever it is that they do, then educate yourself about the benefits and all that, and then go after it. I think you can start to invite them to private dining events. You can do wine tastings, golf outings, hiking, whatever it is that they like to do. Find out what they like to do, and then start doing events around that. If a lot of these folks are close to retirement, well, then you start doing a retirement planning kind of seminar for folks who are, like, say, 3, 4, 5 years away from retirement. You invite your clients, and you make it a fun event with some education thrown in, or just make it a fun event. And I know we do a lot of these events, and as I think Drew was saying, it's like old home week. They come in, they're all retired, they haven't seen each other, and they have a good time talking to each other and getting to know each other again. So it's really good to sort of see that interaction between all the clients.
Great advice, Michael. Well, thank you for being on today.